All right, we're going live. We are going live. All right, what are we doing? Why are we going live? I was doing a live stream yesterday and a guy joined from Scotland. And I said, "Oh, wait, what's going on?" He said, "I'm just lonely. I am just lonely." Oh, wow. People out there, they're just feeling lonely. What can we do? Let's have a live stream and let's chat. We can chat about whatever you want to talk about. I've got some ideas. Share with some of the things that we're doing today. Let's see here. I'm gonna try to share this on Facebook here. Let people know that we're live, and you can just post a comment here. Post a comment with how you are doing. Lionheart Catholic. It can be a Catholic topic. It can be another topic. Posting that to Facebook. Public. We're posting to Facebook. Maybe we'll get some amigos joining us. Yeah, so what are we doing today? Well, I was brainstorming, and so we've got 2 children, and I thought, you know what? Let's make some bread. So we are catching or trying to catch wild yeast strains to do sourdough. And it's amazing. All you need to do for that is you get some flour, like a quarter cup, half a cup flour, quarter cup of warm, clean water, so no chlorine, which can kill, the good bacteria. You put that in a jar, you mix it up, and then you just cover it with a paper towel. And you put it someplace warm, and you start catching wild yeast strains. Well, sure enough, it'll start bubbling. You got to keep kind of feeding it some flour and water every 12 hours until it's bubbled up, and you've got wild yeast strains. Matter of fact, I'll post how to catch wild sourdough yeast. Do some share. Can I share my screen here? I don't know if they let me or not. Let's see if they let me share my screen. I don't know if they do or not. So I'll post in the link. So we did this. Me and my children did this, and we are now have sourdough that we are working on. Cool thing too with this is we actually have some of our own wheat. So we've bought some bulk wheat, which let me tell you, there's not been a run on bulk wheat. At most places, people don't know what to do with that. You get bulk wheat, you can grind it. We actually have a hand grinder. So the kids sat there hand grinding this wheat, and then we use that with the water in order to try to catch the wild yeast. Put it someplace warm, and we put some fruit by it because there's yeast everywhere. There's yeast on your skin. There's yeast in the air. There's yeast on fruit skins. Think about like grapes, for example. So this is a fun thing. We had quite a few bananas, and we decided, hey, let's make some banana chips. We happen to have a dehydrator, so we sliced them up and put them on that. But even without a dehydrator, you can use an oven, set it on a low temperature, and just crack it, and you can dehydrate whatever you want. So you can read up on that. All right, let's see here. Looks like still a little bit lonely here. We got someone like the post on Facebook, so we've got a like. Let's see if we can share this post. It says, feeling lonely in the quarantine? Come join us. I'll share this on a page here. Feeling lonely with the quarantine? Come join me on a YouTube live stream and hang out. Share that around. And you know what? We'll share to my own apologetics page. Share. All right. Yeah, so one thing I was looking at, people, of course, have been very frustrated with people hoarding stuff. And let's push the coffee down, the French press. You know, hoarding, people doing that, is that wrong? Sure, it is. But you got to expect that, right? That's how people act when they're scared, defensive. They're going to look out for themselves. It's just fallen human nature. And that's why, you know what? People have always laughed at preppers. I want to say, preppers, thank you for being preppers, because you're the people who actually are not having to rush to the store and buy everything. The real challenge is, you know, even some people in my Lionheart Catholic membership, they're having to buy food for their elderly loved ones, some of whom can't get out and go buy food for themselves. That's where the rubber meets the road, when it gets really difficult for people to get what they need, right? When they just can't go to the store at any time, when they're relying on other people to help them. One cool thing is this local store, HEB, in our area actually has specific senior food delivery for groceries happening. And that's, you know, not everywhere, but something you could do too for elderly neighbors is ask them if you can order food for them or groceries. So, you know, I understand people hoarding. That's what I expect to happen. And when you expect something, then you can plan for it. Now, obviously, it's too late to plan at this exact moment, but this is going to pass. And when it passes, think how you can be more resilient going forward, how you can buy some bulk food and have it stored. That way, you don't have to be rushing out to the store, contributing to the mayhem, and also feeling like, oh my goodness, we're not going to be able to get what we need for our family. So that's what's going on with that. We also today, you know, it feels great when you can just do stuff. When you're not watching the news, you know that things are not going great. Okay, good. Check in on the news in the morning and maybe at night. Things aren't going great. Yeah, we know that. Well, what can you do? What you can do is you can start a garden. There's not been a run on seeds. There's not been a run on fertilizer. And you buy some seeds, kind of dig up part of your lawn, make a little bed, as fancy or as simple as you want, plant the seeds, fertilize. All of a sudden, you're actually doing something proactive. So you're learning. You're feeling good because you actually have something that you can do. And you're taking action that could help you to make more food for yourself. I also did a compost pile. So we've had compost piles in the past. We haven't had any recently. I thought, we're going to do a compost pile. All you need is carbons, which are browns, and then nitrogens, which are greens. So fresh grass clippings, kitchen scraps. That's what goes into a compost pile. And you want a ratio, but you can just look. You layer some carbons like hay, straw, brown leaves. Can be cardboard, can be newspaper. Then greens, add some soil on top, and just keep doing that. Well, now you're working on a compost pile. These are great things that, you know, you can do as a family. Take this opportunity to learn as well about the financial system. You know, the Federal Reserve right now is bailing out banks, bailing out companies, bailing out businesses, soon going to be bailing out people, going to send us all checks. Learn about what that's going to do down the line. What it will do is, after a deflationary period where things actually go down in price, things will actually then inflate, because people will start to spend all this money, and there's new money out there that's basically been printed. So it's diluted the value of all your dollars. Well, what I'm thinking of doing is taking that money when things settle out and buying tangible, hard assets. And whether that's land or property or cows or chickens or gold or silver or cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. These are all things that have scarcity. You can buy tools, you can buy stuff that you can actually do stuff with. And that is actually a value, and it can't be inflated away. So be thinking about what it is you are going to do during this time so that you actually can come out in a better way than you were before, right? With more knowledge, more understanding, and also a strategy. So holding on to dollars, that's a losing strategy long term. The value just gets eroded away through inflation, and we've seen that constantly. And now that they're going to be printing so much more money in order to try to get the economy going and rescue things, it's just going to increase. So there's lots of things that you can do, practically speaking, in order to come out even better than you were before when all this has gone on. We're going to know a lot better about staying healthy, about taking care of ourselves, right, and being ready for such things. So this is a golden opportunity. All right, let's see how we're doing. See if we've got any. We got a few likes here. Deacon Guadalupe. All right, Deacon. Come on, Deacon. Deacon Guadalupe he likes that. Maybe he can jump on here and we can talk with the deacon. Yeah, so this time has been fascinating, right? One of the funny things too is, so we've been homeschooling for quite some time, but our kids have also been in private school, in hybrid co-op school, in public school. They've been in all schools, but we homeschool. Well, now everyone around us is homeschooling. Even the friends of ours who've been public schoolers the whole time. Well, school's canceled for weeks and weeks. Who knows how long it'll be? Might be the rest of the year. Happily, it looks like the big standardized test in Texas, the STAR test, might not happen, which is people are rejoicing in. But what's great about it is people are realizing they can do it. They actually can school at home. They can be at home together. And yes, there's some cabin fever and getting stir crazy. But ways to help with that is have a regular schedule. Have regular chores that are being done. You know what? Our son's like, I'm going to go. Our elderly neighbors have trouble. They have a dog, and they have trouble walking that dog because the dog's pretty strong for them. And he's going to go over there. He's done this in the past. Now he's going to do it every day and offer to walk that dog every single day. Have regular chores and tasks. Also make it where people have individual time. Okay. Everyone needs some space, some quiet. Our kids started bickering and said, hey, 15, 20 minutes, each of you, separate places, find a work, a craft, read a book, give each other some space. So routine is your friend, and life goes on. We're going to have to get back to schooling. This was our spring break last week, but we're going to get back to schooling. Learning still is going to happen. So this is a special time where families are forced to come together and think about the blessing that is, right, for families. Let me see here. If you're interested in reading more, I just was thinking about this, about the whole gold and silver and whatnot. I really recommend Mike Maloney's goldsilver.com. You can download an ebook there. He actually has a great YouTube video series on money and the Federal Reserve called The Hidden Secrets of Money. Let me find that here. Yep, here's the playlist. Here's the playlist here. Queue up that whole playlist. It's probably like 6 hours of watching. And you'll learn everything from this book, The Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffin, where he exposes the whole Federal Reserve System, which is neither federal nor does it have any reserves. It's a government-approved private banking cartel, in effect. And The Creature from Jekyll Island is a great book, but you can watch Mike Maloney's video series, which is very entertaining, and you'll learn most of the good information from that book. Download his ebook. It's free as well. And that's going to help you to know what you should do to come out of this in a better way than when you entered. Still have coffee. Have our Mystic Monk prayer mug. These are some awesome Carmelite monks who live in Wyoming. They're building a monastery, and they roast coffee. So I've got the Praying Hands mug, thanks to my sister-in-law, Kelly. Praying Hands because it had a second handle like this, and so you could be praying while you were drinking. But one of the handles broke. Still got 1 out of 2 handles, and that ain't bad. Yeah, so that's what we're doing. We are making it work. We are we're living our life. We actually have a book club, and normally we get together, me and a bunch of guys, and we read the book. We're going to do it over a Zoom video conference webinar tonight. So we're going to have our video chat that way for our book club. But what a good idea. Why not set up with some of your friends a nightly or weekly, maybe daily at this point because we're getting lonely, chat. Do it over Google Hangouts or whatever there is, Zoom. And for 30 minutes you talk. Maybe it's the other dads you're friends with. And you talking, hey, what are we doing as dads, right? How are we making sure we're protecting our families, providing for them with, what if one of us loses our jobs? How are we doing on food? Whatever. Basically have something regular. And I'm thinking of setting something like that up with some of my friends. So, and I'd like to, thinking about talking with them about, how do we look at investing or preserving our money as the stock market's been crashing? What are they doing with their finances? We can really learn from each other. Basically, that's the equivalent of a mastermind group. So mastermind group, you get together on a regular basis, and typically that can be something like, we're almost like crowdsourcing ideas about maybe starting a side business. It's a great time to start a side business right now. And so many people are at home. So many people are, they're on Facebook, and you can start stuff up right there. All right, let's see how we're doing here. Haven't had any amigos join yet. Yeah, okay, that's good. Yeah, now's the time to kind of join some virtual communities, something with a shared interest, and that could be free or paid, so that you can get some social time and get to share ideas with others. When the guy joined yesterday from Scotland, he said, I'm just lonely. I don't have anybody. I'm in my house. What am I supposed to do? And we just chatted. We chatted a little bit. I have no idea who he is. Right? Think about that. We can jump on, YouTube or whatever, and we can talk to each other. And there's a lot of people out there who are lonely. So start up like a weekly or daily meeting, web conference with some of your friends, some of your mom friends, or some of your dad friends, or some of whoever friends. And you can be sharing ideas about what you're doing. You can help each other out. This is a great time for learning, for actually coming together, even if we can't do it physically, coming together virtually and brainstorming different ideas about, hey, what are you doing with your families, with your children? How are you keeping people occupied, engaged, not worrying them with the bad news, right? Our children can only handle so much of that. They don't have the bandwidth or capability to hear like the worst news. But we can understand what's happening. We can take the prudent steps as the parents But then with the kids, we keep a routine. We're doing chores. We're doing projects together. I mentioned today we're catching wild sourdough yeast strains. I got the link in the chat here. We're drying banana chips, right? We're reading books. I'm reading The Creature from Jekyll Island. I got the link here to the YouTube series of Mike Maloney's Hidden Secrets of Money, free YouTube series where you will learn really good strategies for what's going to happen in this crash and how to come out beyond it. So that's what I recommend. And if you want to just chime in right here, you can just post a comment. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know what's happening. I've just got a little bit of time this morning and wanted to hang out, drink some coffee, and visit with anyone in the world who is feeling a bit lonely. Yeah, so that's what I'm looking at. The interesting thing about investments, printing more US dollars, so that inflates the value of it. It erodes the value, right? And inflates everything. But that's what I'm looking at with gold and silver. And in 0809, you actually had, when the stock market tanked, gold and silver tanked too at first. There was a liquidity crunch. There were margin calls. There were people fleeing to cash. So we've seen the same thing here at the beginning of the crash. But what's different is if you go and actually say, I want to buy some physical silver, well, the spot price of silver is like $12 an ounce right now. But if you try to buy American Silver Eagle, it's $25, meaning it's 100% markup of a premium. The U.S. Mint is out. Dealers don't have much, and so the premiums have gone through the roof. So people are actually wanting to buy the physical assets. The paper assets, which is the ETFs and the futures contracts, that all just goes with the stock market, at least currently. Even that, I think, will go up after this, as it did after 08 and 09 crash. Gold and silver went on a run all the way up to highs in around 2011, 2012, far outpaced the S&P 500 during that time. S&P 500, from the charts I've seen, hit a high in like 07, then you had the 08, 09 crash, and did not reach back to the 07 highs until 2013. And then people began to have more confidence again that the Federal Reserve had and the government had bailed out the economy. That's what they're trying to do now. But that's why I recommend you start to really learn and educate yourself on gold, silver, Bitcoin too. Bitcoin has algorithmically enforced scarcity. It is a digital asset, that's true, but you have real hardware behind it, computing power, and have an incredibly high, what they call hash rate, meaning compute power that's operating to secure the network every single day. So Bitcoin is also something to look at. Like gold and silver, it initially tanked. It went from 9,000 to 4,000, huge crash. But I looked at it just the other day. I'm not looking at cryptocurrency during Lent. That's one of my penances. So it dropped down to 4,000. The price right now is $6,100. So think about that. It already actually bounced 50% back up off the bottom, and it's lost about a third of its value, which is about what the stock market's lost. Similarly, though, my supposition is that just like gold and silver after the crash in 08, 09, where then gold and silver went to new all-time highs, I think the same that will happen with Bitcoin. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This is my opinion. This is just for educational usage. So I'm not saying go out and buy Bitcoin or gold and silver. Everyone has a different financial status and where they're at. And you want to make sure you've got emergency funds for your family, because we all could lose our jobs, right? We could hit really bad times. But there's the old saying, be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. Fear is at an all-time high right now, right? The market has hit the circuit breaker where it's, dropped 7%, 13% overnight. And they've basically had to pause trading, for 15 minutes at a time. I don't think we've hit the 20% circuit breaker where then trading's paused for the whole day. But people used to laugh about the volatility of the crypto markets. Oh my goodness, it went up 5 to 10% in one day. Well, guess what? You're seeing that now with the actual stock market, which has a hugely larger market cap and liquidity. So we're facing, the worst crisis we've seen in our lifetime. I'm a Gen Xer, and we've never seen this. So while that's scary, while we don't know what's going to happen, while we have to secure our immediate needs, and that's food and just basics, protect our family's health as best we can, we also can be looking to, how do I come out of this ahead and not just live in fear? And that might be you're going to dollar cost average in to the market. I'm waiting right now because I don't want to catch that falling knife as it goes down. I do think that there'll be time to see it reverse, even if it's a sharp reversal, that there will be time where we have a bit of a bottom and then where we break that bear trend. I'm not a technical analyst of stocks, but I follow different people where they talk about the different indicators that they use. So that's another reason to get together with other friends of yours, because you can actually discuss these strategies and these ideas and get a feeling for what they're going to do. We got a few people participating right now. Hope your day's well. Are you feeling lonely? Are you feeling scared? What's going on? Let me pop out the chat here. See what this does. Yeah, post a comment, or if you just want to watch, you can watch. This is just for kind of lonely on a Saturday. I'm about to be doing some stuff with the fam. I actually think I'm going to plant some wheat. So one of the things you can do with wheat is grind it up, make flour. It's awesome. You can also just plant some in your yard. And now is actually the time to plant in spring. And you can grow a little patch of wheat. So this is going to be a fun thing for the kids to do. It gives us something to do. It's interesting. The only thing we got to do is try to protect it from the birds, squirrels, and from our dog, who loves to trample stuff. Some of y'all might know, this is my book, Lionheart Catholic, How to Become a Saint in These Dark Times. Well, I wrote that before the times were this dark. I wrote it when times were dark last fall, winter. Well, they're darker now. That book I actually am offering at cost. So for the cost of shipping and handling, I print it and send it out to you. And it actually has what all the Catholic saints for the past 2,000 years did, how they became so close to God, how they grew in their faith, and how they helped the world. Some of those saints, like St. Rocco, lived during the time of the plague and spent his life ministering in Italian hospitals to people with the plague. The 14 Holy Helpers, they all lived during the Black Death as well. All these great saints in the church lived through even worse times than this. And so in this book, I condense all the lessons that I learned from those saints in the 20 years of my life as a Catholic, and how you can put it into practice in your life, which makes you more fulfilled, happy, because you are closer to God. One of our friends has been having panic attacks and basically meltdowns during this time. Emotionally, the stress is just getting to them. And one of the remedies for that is prayer, and especially what Catholics call mental prayer, which is where you simply are quiet before God. So this is kind of meditation in the secular world. You spend quiet time before God, in your heart pray, meditate on some subject. Maybe it's the resurrection of Christ. Affections rise within you, like the resurrection gives me hope and it strengthens my faith. I offer those to God. Then you offer petitions to God. So you're praying for your parents for protection against this virus, for your children, for your community, for yourself. And then you thank God for giving you the graces that he has. And you think about what your predominant fault is, and you work on correcting that fault. That's what mental prayer is. Mental prayer is the remedy or antidote for anxiety, because God gives you his peace, right, in prayer. So I really recommend, you know what? Yeah, check the news in the morning, maybe. Check the news in the morning. See what the latest news is in your local area, in the world. Then leave the news aside. Get cracking on projects and gardening and reading books and learning and growing, being with your family, being with others virtually, right? And pray, get closer to Christ. Those are going to actually set you on the right path where you're not going to fall into panic. Um, panic is not going to help your children. It's not going to help your community. And it's just going to hurt you too, especially why do people feel panic? Because they feel like things are outside their control. Yeah, most stuff is outside our control. So let's actually worry about what we can control. Oh, all right. We got Enigmatic Gary. Oh, yeah. Oh, Gary, I know you, man. Yes. Shout out to Gary. Hey, Gary. Yeah. I'm just here, man. I mentioned this. A guy joined my live stream the other day, and he was from Scotland. And he said, I'm just lonely. I don't have anyone to talk to. I don't know how he found it. So I just thought, hey, we'll start a live stream and we'll just talk. You know, people people just need to hang out. And Gary and I are lucky enough to have families. We got our own little community within our own homes, but a lot of people don't have that. And especially because there's older people who are alone, but also you can't get really close to them because you don't want to accidentally get them sick. So that's really tough. And there's ways of reaching out to them in a safe way, but just think about how you can help others who are feeling lonely. Just a little bit of that social interaction goes a long way. And as y'all know, I mean, I'm Catholic, and the Catholic faith is the greatest gift that I've ever had in my life. When I became a Catholic after being atheist most of my life. And I told one of my friends who's an agnostic, I said, because he started thinking about, wow, this could get really bad. I told him, I said, look, you've been thinking about God for the past 3 years. Now's the time to get right with God. Now's the time to think, hey, we're all going to die. And you know that, but now it's has become more real, right? As we're facing this as a society. Is it time for you now to turn to God for the first time in your life? And he said, I'm going to think about that, man. I said, okay. And I've been praying for him. That's because you start to face the reality of life and death. And it puts things into perspective for you very clearly. Death, judgment, heaven, hell, the 4 last things is what we call those. Those are realities. And even if you're not a Christian, you believe that there's going to be death. So death is going to happen. We as Christians say death does happen. Dying is not the worst thing. Dying outside of friendship with God is the worst thing. So you want to be in friendship with God. Well, how do you do that? Well, you confess your sins to him. Now, ideally, you do that through his authorized representative, who is a priest. But even right now, if you can't go to confession, confess in your heart. Gary says, a friend and I were up till 2 a.m. last night just talking about the faith. He mentioned to me some atheists, on Twitter are rethinking their position with COVID-19. So some good is coming from this. Yeah, I mean, there's no atheists in foxholes. There's that old saying. But seriously, it starts to shake you to your core. This happened back in 9/11. Those of us old enough remember that. The churches were filled, right? This horrific act of violence and evil. It drove us to God. And God works good even from this virus. God knows all about this virus. God has let this virus go. And I'm not going to opine why he did, but I do know, as Gary said, that he will work good from it. It's up to us to choose whether we're going to despair and give into fear and be afraid, right? And hoard stuff and be just really selfish, or we're going to go the other way toward charity, generosity, goodness, love, unselfishness, and faith. So, you as Christians, this is where we can pray for those who are not Christians. This is the time. This is the acceptable time. Don't delay. You don't know how long you're going to have, right? You could get hit by this virus. You could have a bad reaction to it. This might be unexpected based on your demographic, yet you could. And that's always true. You could die in a car wreck. You could get a heart attack. I could die right now. Blessed be God. But it puts into perspective. Yeah, it's time to get right. So there's all these different levels at which we're operating. Supernatural level, that's where we're praying. That's where we're following God. And the natural level, things just like food, helping people out who are in need, making sure we're providing for our family, doing things like starting a garden or whatnot, being more frugal. I was listening today to a podcast. He's like, now's the time to start intermittent fasting if you haven't already. 2.5 years ago, I started, I was almost getting type 2 diabetes. So I was in the warning zone, about into the type 2 diabetes territory. Found out about intermittent fasting. It wasn't known about then much. I didn't know about it. Well, I started doing it, and then sure enough, that reversed my slide toward type 2 diabetes. I got my blood glucose under control, my insulin response. Well, the great thing about that is it's now had spiritual benefits too, because I can offer that fast to God whenever I do it. It has the physical benefit of lowering my insulin resistance. And during this time when, food is like, oh my goodness, can we get enough food for our families? I've gone days and days without eating. And I actually have plenty of food storage here. If you don't eat anything as an adult, you might lose about 0.5 pound a day. So in a steady state, you burn 0.5 pound a day of fat. I mean, I got weeks and weeks between us to survive. So it has both a physical benefit, like I mentioned, but it has that supernatural benefit. One of the ingredients of the saints is fasting. I used to hate fasting. I was afraid of fasting. I felt terrible. But doing intermittent fasting helped. And the book that I really recommend by Dr. Jason Fung is The Complete Guide to Fasting. There's a lot. He has a YouTube channel too. Let me post this link. Oh, I hear the family. I'm probably going to have to go pretty soon. Yeah, there's the link to The Complete Guide to Fasting. He gives you the how, the why, the what. And this has great health benefits. So now is a good time to incorporate that, because you're going to make your food stretch longer. And it's going to give you that freedom where you don't feel like I've got to eat, otherwise I'm going to die. You won't die. And maybe that's a benefit for a lot of Americans. If they did go low on food, most Americans have a lot of extra food stored as fat, would actually realize they can go for longer than they thought without eating. I hope that doesn't happen. It's just another possible benefit. All right, so I've got 2 minutes left we're going to need to go plant our wheat field and see whether our sourdough has started and caught any wild yeast strains. Let's see. I've been doing exercising too. So my gym is closed, but I've got some of these like bands type of stuff. So I've got a few dumbbells. Just staying active. So I go for a walk every morning. It's interesting. I don't see anyone else walking out there in the morning. I used to see some more people, but just doing basic exercises. I'm not going to get really strong doing it, but keeps me active, keeps the blood flowing. So get out there and do some basic stuff like that. That's going to help your mental state as well. Yeah, Gary said, I've done a 3-day water fast, not as hard as it sounds to fast. Good on you for promoting it. Our Lord even asks us to fast. Absolutely. And if guys like me and Gary can do a fast, then you can too. All right, well, we'll wrap this up. I think YouTube saves it, but thanks for joining. I'll probably do this every few days or something just to hang out and be praying for you. Ask for your prayers as well. God bless.